The shattered yellow kitchen. My grief after losing my wife. The pressure from my kids. And Gloria's Wes. My wife just passed, and my kids want to sell my home to optimize my life. From an old notebook and a lemon pie recipe, Gloria gave me a weapon. I didn't need to shout. I let paperwork and hours of service do the talking. This is how we found our family's gate again. I am James Walker, 74 years old, on the south side of Chicago. A week after Gloria's funeral, the yellow kitchen, her color insisted on, even though I preferred white, was so quiet I could hear the wall clock click each notch. The smell of lemon still hung there because yesterday the church ladies brought over a tray of pies, set it on the table, then cleaned up in a hurry. My coffee mug was still there, filled to the brim, stone cold. I hadn't touched it. Some things cool fast, and some things cool slow. Grief belongs to the latter. The doorbell rang. Marcus came in first, coat unbuttoned though the wind was sharp. Heather followed, blonde hair pulled back in that perfect suburb way, arms carrying a glossy leather portfolio like a law book. Keisha arrived a beat late, still in wrinkled scrubs, hospital sanitizer clinging to her sleeves. She smiled at me, a smile thin as paper, then sat in the chair across from me. The air carried something I'd smelled at the funeral. Hurry, practicality, and fear. "Dad," Marcus began, trying to sound warm, "we just want to make sure you're safe. This house is too big. The stairs are steep. The neighbors." He glanced at Heather. Heather opened the portfolio at once. Inside were color renderings, tidy grids. Basement apartment plan. I saw a tiny kitchen, a bathroom, a separate entrance annotated, ramp optional. She pushed the drawings toward me like a broker, tapping the corners with nude-polished nails without a single chip. "James, with your circumstances, this is the practical solution. Private, yet close to family. Win-win." The word privacy slid through my head, leaving a metallic taste on my tongue. I looked at the yellow kitchen, the fortress Gloria built with spoons and recipes, now feeling like a little courtroom. I tried to swallow, but my throat was dry as parchment. Keisha set a box of tissues on the table. "Dad," she said so softly I had to lean in to hear, "maybe being close to family would be good for you." Her eyes were raw from lack of sleep. I could see the night shifts in the ICU carved into her corners. Heather pulled out another stack of papers. "This is the family finance review. I've scheduled a Zoom with an advisor to optimize the assets. The market is good, selling now, makes perfect sense." She said makes sense like it was a new virtue. And also, Gloria's medical costs must still be lingering. "James, we care. We don't want you to worry." I looked at Marcus. My son scratched his neck, avoiding my eyes. His auto shop had limped through 2 years of COVID. I knew that. I'd slipped him money when needed, not saying much, leaving his pride room to breathe. But today, in his eyes, I saw something else. The fear of being judged. Neighbors asking, "You okay?" and having no answer. "One more thing," Marcus said, letting it hang. "If you aren't clear enough to handle big decisions, we could consider guardianship. Just temporary. For safety." Keisha turned to her brother and shook her head slightly. I saw her hand on the table edge, trembling once. I said nothing. I heard the vent exhale, the window seam quiver. On the shelf, Gloria's notebook and the lemon pie recipe card sat side by side, tilted like two eyes looking down. Heather smiled professionally. "Don't misunderstand. Nobody wants to control you. It's just a process. If you move to the basement, will help with costs. And this house, if we sell, that money. She paused long enough for me to imagine. Will stabilize everyone. Of course, a portion for Maya. Vale, her grades are good, right? Maya is my granddaughter. She likes law, loves reading her grandmother's books. Gloria always promised her. I opened the blue folder with both hands, like opening a small door back to Gloria's voice. Papers were stacked neatly. Bank statements, insurance schedules, a raised sealed deed for a house in Charleston, South Carolina, an address she'd never once mentioned. The smell of old paper mixed with the mahogany in the study. At the edge of the folder was a thin envelope. Estate Overview. Gloria's handwriting, steady and calm. My heartbeat slowed. The first page read, Community Legacy Trust. Summary. Layer 1. I read, my forehead tightening. A first-layer will that seemed to cut me out. Community allocation. Assets flowing to literacy and financial programs. One section even read, Trustee Pending Community Board. I leaned back, a chill down my spine. Gloria, what were you doing? I kept reading. At the bottom, a small note as if forgotten. See Appendix A, Kitchen Notes. Kitchen? I turned my head. On the study shelf, Gloria's lemon pie recipe card leaned. Green ink stilled bright where words were underlined. I picked it up. In the recipe, a few letters capitalized oddly. Peel, add, simmer, strain, chill, oven, done, enjoy. I strung them together. Passcode. I laughed dryly. Classic Gloria. Don't forget the zest. The scent unlocks memory. She wasn't kidding. Back at the folder, I searched for Appendix A. A thin ivory sheet glued against the back cover, only loosened if you knew to tug. I slid a nail, lifted gently. Inside. Addendum. Layer 2. True disposition. Gloria's hand began. My James, if you are reading this, it means they've circled. Sometimes the only way to win is not to play their game. Layer 1 is just bait for the smug. Layer 2 is the real wish. Breathe the lemon zest. Then be calm. I read slowly. Layer 2 named me trustee. Success beneficiary eligibility carried Gloria's twist. Community service clause. Any secondary heir must complete at least 50 hours of free teaching in literacy or basic finance for elders or immigrants. Failed to complete, their share reverted to the community fund. Legal edges were sharp. No contest clause. Anyone contesting the trust and losing forfeits their share. Spendthrift provision. Protects assets from beneficiaries' creditors. Affidavit of competency. My family doctor could certify I'm sound of mind. Notice to recorder. Recommend filing sole ownership with county, blocking unauthorized sale. Below, a handwritten contact list. Mr. Peter Klein, Estate Attorney, Chicago. Phone and email. Pastor Coleman, New Hope Community. Gloria's note. Peter trusts the process, not the performance. Coleman holds a voice message of mine, only to be played if you ask before the community. I inhaled the lemon trace in the study, warmth creeping into my neck. Layer 1, The moral smokescreen for the curious, greedy, or those who skimmed to decide for me. Layer 2 was the map. She'd left breadcrumbs like Hansel and Gretel, except lemon zest. I turned the next sheet. A small softcover was tucked in. Community ledger. Inside, a list of people Gloria had helped. A janitor shown how to open savings. An old man taught to sign his name. A single mother guided to read her paycheck. Each name checked. Each line ended, "Pay it forward." At the back, Gloria drew a box. "Teach to keep. Rule." She wrote, "If you want to keep what's precious, you must teach others to keep theirs." Below, 50 hours, minimum service before distribution. I laid my hand on the page. This was her non-monetary legacy. The last envelope held a small key engraved G.W., Gloria Walker. A slip with Charleston's address in bank font, county seal stamped. Handwritten note. "This house isn't for show. It's for breath. When Chicago is too loud, go change air. Ana Rodriguez keeps it. Fesh linens each month." I leaned back, stared through the window. In the kitchen, my coffee mug sat untouched. The house felt less cold. That afternoon they arrived, like an audit team. Marcus came first, Heather close behind. And last, a man in a gray suit, charcoal tie. Professional smile. Jeff Morrison. I stood in Gloria's yellow kitchen. The wooden table was bare, my phone placed in the middle. With a steady motion, I tapped record. The red dot lit. 1 second of silence. Illinois law allowed one-party consent. I was that party. "Dad," Marcus began, quick voice. "Let's keep this civil. This is Jeff, a family attorney." Jeff extended his hand. "Mr. Walker, I'm here to mediate. Everyone wants what's best for you." "Best for who?" I asked, pulling out a chair. I gestured to the seat across. "Sit." Heather set down a folder, but didn't open basement plans. Today, it was about money. We've run the numbers, maintenance, taxes, security. You can't carry this house alone. Practicality pays the bills. I glanced at the red dot. "Say it plain." Marcus drew a breath. "The bank's on us. My shop, after COVID. You know. They're demanding a cosigner." "Dad, your credit's solid. Just sign a temporary POA. Or back the loan as guarantor. When it evens out, I'll release it." A click inside my head. So that was the engine. Not safety for Dad, a balance sheet rescue. Jeff smiled, laying words like bricks. "One option is you move downstairs. Let your son manage the house. If you're not in position to make major decisions, the court can grant guardianship." I looked up. "What did you just say?" Jeff adjusted his tie. "Just for asset protection. No one wants you harmed." The air dropped, as if the ceiling lowered. I heard Keisha's shallow breath. She stood near the doorway, still in scrubs, arms folded tight. Heather rested her hand on the folder. Her fingers trembled once, then stilled. I leaned back, studied each of them. Then the red dot. "You just threw—" "That's conspiracy." Jeff froze, then forced his smile. "You misunderstand. We're discussing legal options. I understand perfectly. And I'm recording perfectly." Marcus slapped his palm lightly on the table. "Dad, don't make this drama. You just need my signature. I cut in. Whose POA draft? Who wrote it? Heather flicked her eyes to Jeff. A draft, nothing binding. Draft, I repeated. Whose email? Silence. Keisha's eyes darted, begging for someone to say something human. I turned to her. Do you honestly believe this is for my safety? She bit her lip. I just fear a midnight call from the hospital. I'm tired. I'm scared. I nodded. Your fear is real. Their method is fake. Jeff cleared his throat. Mr. Walker, be reasonable. This house needs a manager. Sell and we optimize. Refuse and guardianship is an option. The court rules on best interest. I rotated the phone so the red dot faced them. The court also rules on intent and evidence. Heather gripped her purse strap. James, we care. Privacy in the basement. Privacy, I whispered, for myself. That word tastes like pennies in my mouth. We sat in silence. The clock struck 3 hard beats. I gathered my folder, didn't let them see inside. This meeting is over. Any further contact goes through my attorney. Jeff rose sharply. And his name? Peter Klein, I said. He trusts process, not performance. I stood. The door's that way. Marcus stared blank. Heather tried a civil resolution smile, but her hands knotted together. They left. Door shut. Red dot off. Gloria's yellow kitchen returned to a kitchen, no longer a tribunal. 2 hours later, I sat across from Klein in a plain oak-paneled office, no gilding. Mid-50s, sharp eyes, pencil shaved to a point. I set the blue folder down, open. Successor trustee is Maya under service or age. Good. What's step 1? I asked. Klein numbered off, voice like a recipe. 1. Cease and desist to any realtor Marcus or Heather contacted. Do we have names? I've got a note Gloria left, handwritten leads. 2. Affidavit of competency. See your physician. They'll sign you sound. 3. Notice of sole ownership and certification of title with county recorder. Locks out unauthorized listings. 4. Draft a TRO, temporary restraining order, in case they push anyway. Will the court grant fast? With guardianship threats tied to asset grab and a recording, odds are strong, Klein said flat. You mentioned Illinois one-party consent. I recorded. I set the phone down. I also want no Facebook war. Correct, Klein nodded. We don't argue online. We file paper. And your wife mentioned Pastor Coleman? Yes, I said. He holds a voice message from her, only to be played before the community if pressed. Klein smiled. Third-party testimony. Excellent. It shifts weight off you just telling your story. He slid a document. I'll draft the cease and desist now. Sign here and here. I signed, my hand stepped. New Hope Church hung white lights along the hallway. A thin lace of snow settled on the steps. Everyone who came in gave their knees a small shake. This year's winter charity gala was fuller than ever. The volunteer dessert table was packed, including lemon pies the women's group brought. The zest scent drifted light, touching memory like someone opening a secret drawer. Inside, a single mic stood on the pulpit, a big projection screen behind it. The community ledger lay on the pulpit, soft paper cover already worn, a blue ribbon tied around it. James stood to the left of the hall in a dark sweater, nodding quietly to each person. Maya stood beside him, fingers gripping the ledger's edge, like holding her grandmother's hand from afar. Marcus and Heather sat in the third row, aisle seats. Heather reapplied lipstick and drew a breath. Marcus bounced his knee, eyes skimming the room. They'd come thinking there would be a public negotiation, or at least a chance to control the story. They hadn't yet noticed who the storyteller was. Pastor Coleman stepped up. His voice was low and warm as old oak. Tonight we raise funds for our unhoused neighbors and our adult literacy classes. But before we begin, I've been given a responsibility. He set his hand on the community ledger. Gloria Walker, Sister Gloria, left a voice message for this community, on the condition it's played only when we need truth more than rumor. A soft ripple of murmurs moved below. Family is love or leverage? The question drifted like smoke across the pews. The pastor nodded to the tech. The lights dimmed on the screen. A tiny speaker hiss. Then a woman's voice, Gloria's, steady and warm. If you're hearing this, it means the man I love is standing before the community. Tell the truth. I built a community legacy trust because I believe in shared responsibility. Money in a house won't save a family. Truth and service will. Sometimes the only way to win is not to play their game. James doesn't need to shout. Paper will speak. Hours served will say the rest. The murmurs stopped. Heather blinked fast. Marcus bowed his head. Maya bit her lip, listening like her grandmother was sitting somewhere in the rows. Pastor opened the community ledger and read a few lines. An older gentleman learning to sign his name. A single mother reading her paycheck. A teenager opening his first savings account. Gloria wrote, "Teach to keep. If you want to keep what's precious, teach others to keep what's theirs." He looked up. And so this trust carries a community service clause. Klein stepped up with a slim briefcase. He didn't bring a courtroom voice, but a teacher's. Addendum. Layer 2, he said, sliding a sheet beneath the projector. The real instrument, unlocked by Sister Gloria's lemon pie recipe card. The screen showed big, clear words. No contest clause. Spendthrift provision. Successor trustee, Maya upon turning 21 or completing 200 hours of community service. Here, Klein tapped the highlighted line. The community service clause. Anyone seeking a distribution must complete at least 200 hours of free instruction in adult literacy or basic finance for elders or immigrants. No hours, no distribution. Hours certified by Pastor Coleman or a registered nonprofit. In the third row, Heather grabbed Marcus's hand. For the first time, her hand truly shook. She whispered without a mic, but nearby eyes read her lips. "I am afraid of being poor, you know that." Her tears weren't like her polished, storytime uploads. The trailer park from her childhood returned like wind slipping through thin walls. She wasn't evil. She was afraid. Klein went on, even and clear. And here is the no contest clause. If you challenge this trust and lose, you forfeit your share. Forfeit means zero. The aim is less litigation, more service. A few soft O's drifted. A community blogger in the back row scribbled fast. The local radio But Klein wasn't done. He plugged a USB into the projector. "This is an email record," he said, voice still calm. "Sensitive information redacted." On screen, the subject line appeared. POA draft? Sender Marcus, recipient Jeff, CC Heather, and a broker. Below, the sentence. "Need Dad's signature ASAP. Bank wants a cosigner." The hall went absolutely still. Family is love or leverage? The question returned, heavier this time. Marcus shot to his feet. "It was a draft. His voice cracked. "I just wanted to show the neighborhood I'm okay. My shop." He swallowed. "Dad once told me I spend without discipline. I hate that. I wanted to be different." No one clapped. No one booed. A congregation isn't social media. Here, people hear both words and the silence between them. James stepped forward only when the pastor invited him. He didn't go to the mic at once. He set his hand on the community ledger first, greeting Gloria through paper. Then, he looked straight at Marcus and Heather. "I'm not here to humiliate anyone tonight," he said, voice even. "I'm here to tell one truth. Family doesn't declare you incompetent just to steal your house. Real family doesn't use guardianship as leverage. Real family doesn't keep score. It keeps faith." The line echoed twice, first from James's mouth, then from Gloria's message when the tech replayed the ending. A few elders' eyes shone. Maya stepped a half pace up, standing level with him, not behind. She faced the room, simple and clear. "I accept the responsibility. When I'm 21, or when I complete my 200 hours, I'll hold this for her. But tonight, I'm signing up for my first teaching slot." An old hand went up. "I need to learn to sign my name," the gentleman said, shy. Maya nodded. "I'll sit with you." In the pews, Heather pressed a tissue to her face. For the first time, she told the truth. "I'm afraid of being poor again." Recognizing a real fear and pointing to the way through it. 200 hours. The past. I moved into the White House with the red tile roof in Charleston on an afternoon when the sea wind roared. The garden gate creaked open as if someone were holding it. Anna Rodriguez had changed the sheets, set a bowl of yellow lemons on the kitchen table, and pinned a note to the fridge. "Welcome home, Mr. Walker." And Maya. The Charleston key glinted in my hand, small as a note that hits exactly the right pitch. In Chicago, the echo of the Winter Gala still lingered. Neighbors understood. Rumors turned into paperwork. Here, the scent of zest and the sound of waves said, "Begin again." Messages came steadily through the first week. Marcus didn't say anything to me, but Pastor Coleman reported he'd signed up for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, adult literacy classes in the church hall. "He arrives on time," the pastor wrote, "sits in the back for 10 minutes, then walks to the table, looks around before picking up the pen." I read it and could hear a man swallowing pride with a small spoon. Heather posted a short video with no ads, sitting by a kitchen window, no filter, eyes swollen. I let image drive. Starting today, I'll record my 200 hours, from image to integrity, to remind myself to live honestly. The comments split in half. Half snark, half quiet, "I see myself in this." Keisha texted me privately. I'm starting therapy. Next week I'll tell Maya the truth about tuition. No more asking you to stay silent. The first night in Charleston, Maya stood on the porch, listening to wind thread through the bougainvillea. Grandpa, I want to study law, leaning toward immigration and elder advocacy, she said, her eyes bright like streetlights just switching on. I smiled. Your grandma left the community ledger as a map already. I set the soft notebook in her hands. The first page had an extra clear cover. Page 1 is yours now. The next day, Maya and I sat at the kitchen table with a stack of trust documents Klein had overnighted. Affidavit of ours, a template for the pastor to certify service. Eligibility letter, a template confirming distribution eligibility upon completion. And the successor trustee paperwork. When Maya turns 21 or completes 200 hours, you can begin transferring portions of authority, Klein had handwritten. Spendthrift protects assets from creditors. No contest still locks out baseless lawsuits. There's no last-minute payment cuts. All legal fees have been paid on time by you. I reread Gloria's line the pastor played at the Gala, heard like she was standing behind the stove. Real family doesn't keep score. It keeps faith. I told Maya, keep faith, but keep a gate too. She smiled. I remember. Gate, not a wall. In Chicago, the ripples spread. Neighbors didn't turn their backs. They nodded at Marcus like always, but stopped asking flashy questions. His auto shop stumbled because curiosity outpaced appointments. He closed early on Thursdays to make class, posting on the door, "Be back after class." An older customer left a note, "Teach me to sign my name." That evening, the pastor sent a photo. Marcus sitting across from an elderly man, lightly guiding his hand through each stroke. Marcus's eyes were awkward, then softened. I looked at that photo a long time. My anger fell like excess lemon zest after sifting. There was still a taste, but it wasn't bitter anymore. Heather went to the Saturday basic finance class, at first sitting in the back taking notes. In week 2, she stood at the board, wrote budget, then turned and exhaled hard. I'm learning to tell the truth about money to myself first, she said, voice shaking but not breaking. Today, I'll help each person read a bank statement. Her series, From Image to Integrity, recorded the service hours without music, without ads, only a whiteboard and a marker. Under each video, she linked the church's sign-up page. I didn't like, didn't share. I counted hours. Keisha FaceTimed one evening, not on a night shift. I told Maya, she said. Her eyes were tired, but clean. Maya sat beside me and held the screen closer. I'm sorry, Keisha said, this time not asking me to keep her from telling anyone. Your tuition was your grandpa's. Thank him, and I'm sorry for making you write thank you cards to the wrong people. Maya swallowed tears, then nodded. I forgive you if you keep the hours. Keisha smiled for the first time in months. I've signed up for the Wednesday class. One Sunday, the public forum at church went as scheduled. Marcus stood at the mic, a page with only 10 lines in hand. He stopped, swallowed. I'm sorry. No excuses. I let fear drive me. I used the word guardianship not because I worried for my dad, but because I worried for myself. I will do 200 hours, whether I receive anything or not. The congregation gave a measured round of applause. No whooping, no chill. Enough to register. In the back row, the blogger closed her notebook, looked at me, and nodded like she'd finished writing a decent sentence. That evening, Klein called. Marcus's first 50 hours are certified by the pastor. I'll keep the record. When he's done, I'll issue the eligibility letter. Heather is at 62 hours. His voice was steady, like waves breaking evenly. Do you want to initiate Step 1 transfer to Maya? I looked at Maya, marking up a list of places to volunteer. An immigrant center, a nursing home. I said, wait for 21 or 200. Let her deserve it by teaching, not just by waiting. Klein chuckled. Gloria would clap. Maya opened an envelope tucked at the end of the community ledger. A private letter from Gloria, the paper smelling faintly of lemon. T. Alvarez, signature. I watched her spacing and saw Gloria in the way she left air between words. Life in Charleston settled into a slow breath. Morning lemon